Boy. Hello. The news is actually huge tonight. I wasn't actually planning on making a what's going on video. However, this is not a what's going on video. This is what is about to happen video. I'd like to actually hit a couple things first. I actually sold a few things, and the people didn't have PayPal or any other form of payment on some stuff that I sold, and I took Amazon gift card. I always wanted one of these. I've had an Apple Watch for, I don't care what you think about Apple, you know, you hate it, love it, whatever. Had an Apple Watch for ages and ages, but this is actually the Ultra 2. This one has dual channel GPS, and I can actually leave my phone at home and use this. Yes, it's an additional $14 a month for an additional line, but the compass setting, the phone, the maps, the voice memo, the huge battery life, quite miraculous. It actually takes a whole lot to impress me. I was never going to buy a new one of these because a new one is $800. I found a recommendation and I've tested it, and everybody said same thing. I have a link for it below. If this sounds like a commercial, I apologize. I actually like to mention stuff that I truly believe in and genuinely do love, and it really, really takes a lot to impress me, like a true Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy's even before my time. He actually had a watch so you could make calls on it, and does absolutely everything. And I gave away my old Apple Watch, which wasn't that old, and got this, but I got a premium refurb. They call it renewed. Comes with a 1-year warranty, so it's $250 off. A new one's $800, so I saved $250 by using some Amazon.com gift cards where I sold some stuff and people paid me with that. I'm actually just so incredibly impressed by the compass and GPS, and I'm really, really, really impressed. I can't express that enough. I have a link to their premium, they call it renewed, but it's just a refurb. There's not even a single scratch on it. It looks 100% brand new. Once again, they back it for a year from Amazon, so I have that below. I actually posted that information about this watch on Facebook, and people had some peculiar responses. One lady said, which I found really a very disgusting comment. I'm not offended by anything anymore, but it's still disgusting. She actually said, this guy all the time is talking about prepping, and yet he has something like that. You know, I know this is kind of like a tracking device and on and on. You know, I'm not stupid. I know about all of that. But I don't know if anybody like thinks that if you believe in being prepared, that you're like sitting in the basement in the corner, like in a ball, rocking back and forth, you know, waiting for doomsday or something. But, you know, I mean, I'm ready. But that doesn't mean I'm going to sacrifice today for what I know is actually coming. And the very few gadgets that I get that I don't need, like this, and this is a refurb, you know, it really tickles me endlessly, and I don't have to pack my frigging phone around. I could literally make phone calls. I've done a lot of testing with it. The audio input and output is great, and battery life and the GPS, I just can't believe those two are unrelated. I've switched to like 95% organic, but I still have something that's not organic, which is Canadian ginger ale. You know, it's like, what is being prepared? And I don't like the word prepper because it has a lot of negative content. What does that have to do with me, you know, trying to get about that much enjoyment out of life by buying something, refurb by the way, that, you know, I desperately want, and you know, makes me happy. I can't believe people leave comments like that, but you know, nothing surprises me. Anyway, there's something huge is about to happen, and that's why I'm making this video, and it is about to happen. I mean, it's just flat out, it's gonna happen. And I'd like to get to that very closely here. Have you noticed, I gotta ask you a question, and I read every comment, that people are really, really starting to flip out. One thing I wanted to comment on, everybody knows the tale of Babylon, which of course is just a fairy tale from the Bible, where, you know, there was one language, and then all of a sudden, you know, God smote everybody, and everybody's speaking a different language and they can't communicate. I've noticed that you can't, not only people have gotten weird and cuckoo, but you can't communicate with people anymore. You like they're speaking English, but they're not properly saying that which would give you the parameters of filtering in what the heck it is they're saying. People can't communicate anymore, like even an elementary school person. I mean, people my age, 30s and 40s, with, good education. By good education, I mean public school, which is the opposite of good. They can't communicate anymore. They can't get the point across. People accuse me of using big words when I talk about field theory, but I'm not using big words. Trust me. I could use some really big words, but I'm not. And people are using those big words. Like, no, I'm not. It's not. I'm not using big words. It's that your vocabulary is I hate to say it, it's so primitive. A lot of people, it's like, I'm not using big words. Instead of me like making it dumber, what you should actually do is make yourself a little bit, have a normal vocabulary. But normal has gone from this to this. That's the problem. I just wanted to hear from you about that, because there was a report, and I saw the pictures. This young lady, she went full-on rabbit on an airplane, and she started biting everybody. And they had to like tape her mouth shut and zip tie her. It's just unbelievable. France has greatly embarrassed. I'm getting to the main point here, and there's going to be a huge attack, and it's already initiated. But I have to point out that France has really embarrassed itself. I mean, France, there's all these commercial entities that are backing out, and there's a huge avalanche or tidal wave of people declaring a boycotting of what I never watched them to begin with. But it's supposed to be about athletes, but they turned it into this, this woke nightmare in Paris. I don't know if you've seen it. One guy, and I've seen the screenshot. One of the performers on the opening ceremony, he had this hanging out. I'll let you guess what this is. I'll let you guess what this is. He had this hanging out for the whole world to see. I saw the screen grab. You could call that a wardrobe malfunction, but even if that didn't happen, the whole thing is just absolutely, it was just, it takes a whole lot to appall me. And, I don't have any religious connections. Please, God, don't ever call me an atheist. Ever. But the whole thing was absolutely repulsive and reprehensible, and it is just every form of vile you could think. France, I'm sorry, you really embarrassed yourself big time. Anyway, this is going down. This is not what may be. This is what's happening. And, of course, and I can't even talk about some of the other things that are going on right now, but the big thing that's going to break within the next 72 hours is full-out escalation conflict. And I know a lot of people, before actually getting to what's this huge event that's happening right now, and every bit of information say it is happening. Your common goober, and I've already been told this on Instagram and on Facebook, well, how does this affect your rural, it doesn't affect me. How's that Middle East stuff? I don't know if you know what the world's interconnectivity is now, but it's incredibly interconnected. I mean, even more so than a web. Gas prices, food, supply chains, escalation to a broader conflict. This will affect your common goober, tater farmer in Idaho or Arkansas. It will affect you. I mean, it will. And if it escalates, and all indications are that it will, and many people are saying that it will, including key entities, it's really bad. Norway, Sweden, France, United States, on and on, told all their citizenry to leave Lebanon, Beirut immediately. France told the citizens to leave Israel, Lebanon, Beirut immediately. Lebanese social media is filled with calls saying it's time to listen to all those foreign travel advisories and get out of Lebanon now while there is still an opportunity. Trust me, it gets a whole lot worse. I'm getting to that very quickly here. Expect to see mass panic at Rafik Hariri International Airport. Late last night, the IDF top brass has unanimously approved operation plans against Lebanon. That's why Bebe was just over here in the United States. He was actually secretly meeting, saying, listen, I'm going to kick it off. I'm summarizing here what has not been reported. He's just telling all entities. He met with Orange Man and he met with Cackles. I'm gonna refer to that person as Cackles. And President Oatmeal Applesauce. He met with those three people as well as others. IDF Chief of Staff. I'm not going to go over these names. Northern Command, Intelligence Directorate, Operations Directorate, Chief of Air Force. Hezbollah informs the United Nations, Lebanon, that Israel military action will be met with very powerful response. I don't know if you know this or not, but they're a proxy of IRAN, and they have an awful lot of equipment. Nothing, however, compared to Israel. Hezbollah is on high alert for IDF strikes, which actually already have commenced. Israel, late last night, was moving heavy military equipment, including tanks, to the border with Lebanon. Trust me, it's escalating a lot more since what I'm actually just talking about. Let me get to that very quickly here. The Israeli Cabinet of Conflict, I'm using the word conflict instead of WAR, is set to convene in 30 minutes to approve attack on Lebanon. Prime Minister Bebe has received approval from the United States for operations against same. Iranian proxy groups have already launched and hit a military base in Al Omar oil field in Syria. Thousands and thousands of paramilitary forces in Iraq and Syria have been put on high alert, as well as Israeli officials calling for conflict against Lebanon. Prime Minister Bebe has instructed his staff to get the delegation together for immediate return, which he did last night, late last night, upon his return. Here's the big stuff, and the big stuff is going on literally within the past few hours, and this is going to be the news all next week. And it will affect everybody. I mean, it just will. If you think, well, I don't care about that. They've been fighting since day one. I don't care about those people. They have been. And I know most Americans don't care, and most Europeans kind of don't care, but they're close enough to know that it will affect them. A lot of ignorant Americans just don't know. They just haven't got a clue. Anyway, 12 teens and young ones on the soccer field in Israel. And I don't know if you know what happened a couple days ago, but there's a couple words there I don't want to use, and the reason why is the algorithm is always listening. Israeli soldiers have received secret call-ups to prepare for escalations, which is already happening right now, actually. Medical Volunteers for Israel has just put out an urgent call for general surgeons, thoracic surgeons, trauma surgeons, and calling in to keep to stockpile medical equipment for immediate use. UAVs are now overflying Lebanon all the way up to Beirut and Beirut itself. The Israeli War Cabinet has concluded. President Erdogan, who's head of Turkey, has threatened, and Israel has given a response, has threatened invasion of Israel. Axios, according to a top American official, we believe that the Israeli army's targeting of Beirut is the potential red line for Hezbollah, and also too for Iran. Channel 13 in Israel reports that parts of Lebanon are experiencing, this is important actually, they're doing this to block communications and also to rocket launches out of the area upon Israel, that they're experiencing GPS reception and internet network failures. These are GPS jammers and blockers being used by the IDF, Israel, along with disruptions of phone calls. This is always the red flag right before, the stuff hits the fan. Part of Lebanon is experiencing, large part of Lebanon, experiencing failure in GPS reception and internet works, like I said. Hezbollah has officially reported, told back President Biden's advisor on Lebanon and Israel, Amos Hochstein, as well as senior officers of the United Nations interim force in Lebanon, that any kind of major Israeli retaliation operation for the soccer field incident, this was going to happen regardless of the soccer field incident, this just escalated it, will result in a massive response from Hezbollah and other factions, which we know those factions are, and even lead to full-scale conflict escalation and full-scale WAR. Right now, it's being noted that GPS airplane and aircraft are being spoofed over the eastern Mediterranean, Israel and Beirut. It's extremely significant. Actually, it's extremely high right now. This is a bunch of commercial flights and military craft are being spoofed and mirrored so that nobody could track them for retaliation that are flying over Israel, Tel Aviv, Beirut, and Lebanon. The reason for all of this is, you create the supply and you create the demand for the supply. The MIC, or the military-industrial complex here in the United States and Israel, I don't want to get into a lot of the reasoning behind this, but I mean, if you have even 5 brain cells, you know that to feed the suppliers, you actually have to escalate and or create the demand, and that's being done right now. I mean, you have to be blind not to be able to see it. I don't really care whose side you're on. And good for you, whichever side you're on, or if you're on no side. If you're on no side, it's going to affect you. If you're on that side, you're wrong, and if you're on that side, you're wrong. These people have been going at each other since the dawn of time. A lot of it is belief system and religious nonsense. What you think, feel, or believe about that is no interest of mine. I could not care less. But it's going to affect, your Idaho potato farmer. And a lot of people that are very myopic, they don't know how that's going to happen, but they're very, very soon going to find out how. Gas prices, food prices, disruptions of supply chains, the list goes on and on and on and on. The United States State Department just sent out an urgent flash message to get that bleep out of the area. The government of Lebanon has been told by the U.S. State Department that a large-scale attack is coming. The Regional Council in Upper Galilee, Northern Israel, asked citizens to stay near fortified places and not to wander or gather. Upper Galilee and Western Galilee Municipal Councils residents must locate to the nearest shelters, bunkers immediately, and stay clear of these open areas. Everything, and absolutely everything, says that we have less than 72 hours before this breaks loose. The only way that this is going to be limited rather than full-scale escalation is if, whatever you think about them, I don't care, okay? Even the people that despise Israel the most, they know very well how extremely well equipped, as far as military equipment goes, the IDF in Israel is. You may or may not know, but they actually have more military equipment per square mile than any place on this earth, period, no opinion, flat out. There is no place on this earth, not North Korea, no place in Russia, no place that has more military equipment and advanced stuff at that than Israel does. They're supposed to have somewhere north of 300 nukes and nothing less than 250, same. Take that for what you will. Anybody that actually does a full-scale strike on Israel and retaliation for, they're going after Lebanon, they're in for a surprise. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see it go down, but it is happening. The only way, like I said, that this doesn't get, and State Department officials from the United States right now are dropping razor blades. I don't know if you know what that means. They're dropping razor blades. They're pinching out diamonds. It's kind of it's like a southern saying, pinching diamonds, dropping razor blades. Probably Australians and Kiwis and Canadians and Europeans don't know what that means. Let's just say they're very, very nervous. Kind of like, a blind cat in a factory of rocking chairs. Huh? They're trying their best, and these are the low-level officials. They're trying to de-escalate this. They don't let the retaliation against Lebanon, spurring you into full-out conflict. But it is going to happen, and the only way it doesn't happen is that, the president of Turkey is threatening invasion. Israel has responded to that. I'm not going to tell you what the response is, but you could find it anywhere. A lot of this stuff that was reported in the late wee hours was so shocking, and there's a lot of it. It was so shocking, it's like, surely this isn't true. And then you back-check the source, and you back-check it. Oh, it is true. I didn't think, that's quite amazing. Oh, what President of Turkey is threatening invasion of Israel. Israel's doing what right now? There's hardcore, heavy GPS jamming and aircraft tracking spoofing going on over the entire eastern Mediterranean. That only happens right before the brown stuff hits the circulatory air movement machine. It's not funny at all. You know, it's just the way I say it's funny, but you know, this is very serious. We're not talking about Joe said this, Joe said Sam, Joe said he heard Sam say this, and Sam heard it. I'm talking about sources that are confirmed. Axios, senior military officials. U.S. State Department said, get the heck out of the area, and they've warned the government of Lebanon that a large-scale attack is coming. This is all happening within the next 72 hours or less. You know, they're calling for medical supplies, all hands on deck for general surgeons and trauma surgeons. You know, stock the military supplies, GPS jamming. They're amassing massive troops and military equipment on the northern border. UA vehicles are overflying. The Israeli War Cabinet just concluded late last night. It's all going down. I mean, it is going down. There's just no denying it. That is why Bebe was just over here in the United States. He wasn't like to press the flesh and, you know, he doesn't have any voters over here. Well, he does, really. Not literal voters, but he wasn't over here for, you know, a glad handing and state dinner. It's all going to happen. Massing heavy military equipment and tanks. War Cabinet convened 30 minutes. Actually, I've got multiple pages here. That's literally how much is happening all at once. This isn't like a military exercise or a ramping up. It's like when the fire department shows up at a 4-alarm fire and, you know, you can't see the fire, but you see like 10 fire engines show up and they're all whipping out the hoses at light speeds, attaching them to the fire hydrants, and everybody's like, you know, sweating like a cat in heat to get on their asbestos or Nomex, actually, fireproof suits on. Like, you can't see the fire. It's like, yeah, there's something big that's happening right now. Can't see the fire. You know, pretend you can't see the fire. It's all happening. And it is going to affect each and every one of us. And we're all going to find out that I think a lot of people that haven't got a clue about how interconnected the world is are going to be shocked at how it affects them. I think a lot of people are really going to be shocked. I keep getting more and more shocked about how the world... Imagine if ancient Babylon really happened, where everybody just couldn't communicate with each other anymore, and you tacked on a bunch of religious garbage on top of it. Like, oh, you know, building the Tower of Babel, you know, God struck them down and made them all speak different languages where they couldn't communicate with each other. What if there were another source of that causation instead of some sort of mystical, you know, hoodoo, you know, religious twaddle? The effect was real, where everybody couldn't communicate. I'm actually literally seeing that, where people can't communicate anymore. Sometimes it even happens in live stream. I mean, I could get where someone types in a wrong word or two or something. I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, people will say stuff that is just completely incoherent, like, to the point where it's almost as bad as if, you know, you're to meet some stranger and you knew they weren't drinking or anything, and like, how you doing, sir? Nice to meet you there. Like, oh, morning blueberries, strawberries, cat home, go near, bed soon. But like, what the heck? What the heck did you just say? Well, you heard what I said. Like, yeah, I heard you. Well, let me repeat it for you. Yesterday, cat, go home, blueberries, rest, nap until... It's like, what the heck are you saying? You know, this is literally what was reported about the communication between peoples in the time of the event of Babylon. If we actually wipe away, you know, the religious garbage on top of that, I mean, I'm actually literally seeing that today, and you could blame it on the stab juice, you know, which certainly could be a great source of it. I'm not going to speculate on that. I'd like to speculate. I will off camera anyway. But, you know, I never thought I would see that kind of stuff happening. You can say, well, it's just the dumbing down of society. Well, I mean, that's possibly also true. There could be more than one source of causation for this. But, I mean, I'm seeing it all over the place. I know you're seeing the same thing unless you've had your head buried in the sand or in a very dark place. So, anyway, all of this is going to happen, and it's going to break wide open in the 72 hours, and there's about that much chance that it's not going to escalate out of control. What your definition of out of control is and my definition of out of control is are probably two different things. But out of control to the point where, you know, you're going to stop and take a long pause, like your body is stroked out or something. You're going to realize, like, oh, damn. Whew. Tell me what you think, but this is happening. I have the link, by the way, for this below. Someone says, well, yeah, I would never pay the full $800 for it, but it looks 100% brand new. I saved $250 on it, and I'm really, really, really impressed by it. And if you think this sounds like an advertisement or a commercial for this watch, you know, I'm sorry if you do, but I only talk about stuff I genuinely believe in. I saved $250. It didn't come in the same stupid white box that you're going to throw away anyway. But I absolutely love it. I've had an Apple Watch for like 6 years. You know, it has to be really major to like put a serious impression on me, but it certainly has. The battery life, the phone, the compass, the dual channel GPS, on and on and on and on. 49 millimeter diagonal watch face instead of 45. It was 4 millimeters. On a watch, it means a lot. You might think it looks too big. I always love big watches like this, but much larger battery. So instead of like a day and a half, you got 3 days. I made multiple phone calls, and I thought, wow, that's really going to drag the battery down. But it didn't. I made 2 phone calls, and it was still sitting at 100%. Significant phone calls for like 5 minutes plus. It's impressive. That means I can leave my phone at home. Now, for quick jaunts around town, you know, I take my phone if I take any trip anywhere, but, you know, go to the grocery store around town and about. I don't need to pack my phone anymore. Yay! One less thing dragging my shorts down. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me what you think. I read every comment. Lux e veritas. If you ever like these videos, any donations always warmly welcome, and that's in the description below. And I have the link for this watch below, which is the Apple Watch Ultra. Premium refurb, although they call it renewed. Anyway, thanks. Catch you later.